Hey, what's up, y'all? Spencer from OG Broadcast. What I want to talk about today is I want us to start to think about the education system and how that uh, helps or hurts us as a community. And I'm going to keep bouncing off that word community because I don't think we're there yet. Why do we focus so hard on going to college? Why? Because we're not being educated properly. Even from grade school up, you learn the same things, especially as a black kid. You get the history class, you learn about slavery. Black people's existence in school starts at slavery. So I remember being in class myself. And I remember when that kind of comes up, you kind of get all of the students' eyes turn around and focus on you because they know they're talking about black people in a certain light. And I wonder with how that stacks up. Like they talk about a lot of things that show us in a bad light, but they don't really talk about things that bring us I want to say an equality, but it's not in the way they don't bring us things to do things with. So one thing I think they do is they mistalk us, they mistreat us, they misdiagnose us, they put us in learning deficient classes versus honors curriculum things. And I think in my experience, especially, a lot of the ways that I learn and the ways that I take in information are not how they don't show up well in tests. So I grew up thinking I don't test well. And I'm like, why is it that I'm taking class and I'm in the honors curriculum? I'm always at the top of the class. And I mean my grade class, not necessarily my particular class based on subjects. I'm in the upper echelon, I guess, of learners, I guess is the way to say indoctrinationists or something like that. But it doesn't really break down, you don't learn stuff that you can do things with. So I wonder what happens at home. If you're from a family who has wealth and who's had wealth the whole time, they're teaching you things that you don't learn in school, which kind of makes school almost unnecessary in a way. It's not in that you need to learn how to read, write, do arithmetic and that kind of thing, the three R's, read and write, arithmetic. But you need a certain foundation of things to learn. You know how to speak the language, you know how to put numbers together, you know how to formulate your ideas on paper when it's writing report time. You need to know how to read a book and discern from that book what you want. But I, in particular, which is why I'm talking about this, I used to have a problem with comprehension. And they talk about Spencer is a good writer. Like he knows how to read, he knows how to put ideas on paper, but he's not getting what the book is saying or his comprehension skills. That's always been the thing. Even if I have straight A's on the report card, the little document at the bottom where they say, yeah, he's a good learner, he's likable, this kind of thing. But the negative in the comments was always comprehension. Now, let me explain something about comprehension. I don't think comprehension is what they say it is. When you break it down, like he doesn't comprehend, he doesn't understand what we're talking about. I think it's the opposite. I think you don't understand what I'm talking about because I'm in class with people, mostly white students, at the level we're taking classes. Because in my schools they always break you down by levels, like the honors all the way down to the learning deficient or the remedial classes, right? So there's usually like 5 levels. When you're to tell somebody who can think individually, if the goal is to learn, but the goal isn't to teach you how to learn. And if I'm in class with people who are being pumped out to do these standardized tests, I wonder what we're learning. Because at home, there has to be something different. If your family comes from money and you have businesses set up, you have family trust set up, you have assets, you teach your kids how to manage those things. We don't learn that in school. That's not part of the curriculum. They don't even teach home ec anymore. They used to teach that. They don't even teach you how to sew. Like, what if I needed to sew a pillow to bust open? And I made my little walrus in school. What if you need to know how to balance a checkbook? Yeah, there used to be checkbooks back then. You wrote in hand with a little ledger and you were right. I bought newspapers, 25 cents. You keep track of your money. You have a bank account, you keep track of it. You learn responsible spending. You're not learning that in school. We need to be taught that at home so we know how to exist. We need to be taught that comprehension is different if you're given an amount of time, or a teacher's mind can give you space to explain what you mean, or what did you take from this book. Like if we read The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, okay, the class has a different outlook on life than me. They've learned things that I haven't learned, and they don't know the things that I've learned. So I'm going to take different things out of a scenario or a book that I've read than they read, but you're taxed for that. So I need to figure out the balance here. I want there to be more of a home, like we teach our kids more at home. I want us to be able to focus on the values, like what helps you? First of all, what's going to help you get through this world as we have it set? What's going to help you do something other than priming you to be a perfect computer printout, to get a job and be able to just do a job to make somebody else rich? What if you don't want to make somebody else rich? What if you have an idea that you think is good for the world? It's good for your people. It can put your people in a position to do more with their own lives. And that's always been a focus of mine. Bonding with people, knowing how to get along, meet people, network, and make good choices of who you want to hang with and deal with. Because even in this world as it's, you can't do anything without networking. Nobody can go through and do things as a one-off and succeed. You need people around you, and we're not learning that in the schools. It's kind of like the environment makes, it's like a structured, how can I say it? It's like a structure that's governed by these rules, these institutional rules, these pockets. And I don't think that that's a good environment to learn. Everybody doesn't learn with that kind of structure. Sometimes people learn more, like for instance, right now even, I learn from watching YouTube videos, from watching TV, from watching movies. I can watch a movie that has nothing to do with anything that you would take learning from, and I get something from it. Like just the way people move and interact together, what sets people off. I learn things. Sometimes the movie's bad and I just bail out. Like I just completely forget I don't care what I'm watching. I'm fighting through things that are already in my head while the movie's on. And there may be a line in that movie that kind of triggers a thought process, and I can go with that and solve a problem. Formal education is stifling individual expression, individual successes, and it doesn't allow you a space to think what you're doing can have a positive influence. I'm kind of babbling on this education thing because I'm putting it against what we learn in school versus what you can learn at home and make your life better. In school, you're trying to make your boss's life better. It's ultimately about getting a job and then just doing that every day for 40 years or until you die broke. I want better for my people. And I want better for my people, not just for myself. Basically, what I want is the outcome, as an outcome, is for people like me, and everybody really, honestly, but people like me, to get to a point where you know enough reading, write, arithmetic. You don't have to learn that every single year and then with a whole bunch of other dumb issues, classes that don't mean anything, world history. What the hell is world history if you're just learning about the Persian War and a couple other? That's not complete enough. In history, I need to know where we're from. Oh, for real, not just from Africa on the slave boats over here through the Middle Passage. And then whatever we did. Actually, you skip a lot of stuff. I think my main objective here is I'm really just rattling on about the education system and how I think it hampers people from my culture, because it doesn't teach us what we actually need to make it in this kind of place. I think we have to stop classifying people certain ways. We should stop classifying psychologically kids as learning disabled. Or honors, like that, the disparity, when they push you to the bottom of that kind of sinks into you and makes you think, well, I don't have to act right. I'm there. Everybody tells me I can't learn anything anyway, or I don't learn at the speed of average kids. And that starts to mess with people in a while, and that could actually change the whole trajectory of your life. If we figure out how to teach these kids with people who understand these kids, you get a better outcome. If you want your goal to, no, I want the goal to be that everybody starts on an even playing field. You're treated like you know your stuff. You're treated like you can learn, and you have somebody there able to teach you in a way that you can comprehend what they're talking about, and they can understand that you comprehend what they're teaching. Ultimately, just want them to have kids be an asset to their community and the world, as opposed to being a liability. And I think the way we go, teaching people standardized stuff, which is standardized for who? If we're not standard. I remember an SAT test asked me, like, it was the comparisons, and it was that a baloo is to a bear as a blank is to something. I'm like, the hell is a baloo? I don't know what that is. There's so many examples of stuff that, like, if you don't live on the water and you don't live anywhere around it, you don't have any familiarization with that. Why is there a question on the test comparing yachts to something else? Like, you can't know these things. You're set aside in a way that you start to feel like you can't belong here. And that's kind of justified. So I want us to get better with that. I want us to be able to teach the kids in a way they can learn. I want them to learn from people who look like them. And I want not ultimately, I want people to, their education from home, from their grandparents, from their parents, and their siblings in the place. I want that to be as important, and I don't want us to leave that out of the equation when we send our kids off to school. Don't send them off with this is your responsibility now to the teachers. Because they're not going to teach them anyway. They're just going to see if they fit into this bucket. And then they're going to teach them the general stuff that they do, where at home we can be teaching them the stuff you need. Here's how you actually get along. Here's how you can be non-confrontational and still demand the treatment that you demand and the respect that you demand. Here's how you can show other people that kind of respect so that maybe they return the favor. You're going to want to know how to do that to that as well. You're going to know how to cook, clean, do all the stuff like a general full person. Do your own laundry, make your own decisions, give you money, give you an allowance, let you figure out how to handle that. And it's not one person's choice. It's not the school's choice of how to educate your kid. We got to raise inventors, business owners, people who want to do things to help the community outside their own pocket. And when you leave it up to the pocket only, like the economics, how much money you're making, if that's the baseline, then we're in trouble. It can't be just money that we're like the reason you live can't be just money. We have to be able to feel successes other way, like personal identity. We know who we are. We know who our people are. We know where they came from. We know how we used to act. We understand like different remedies, like home remedies, that kind of thing that people consider like as woo-woo or witchcraft. Well, what if it isn't? What if it isn't? What if medicine right now is geared to make you deal with pain and not fix anything, and to get us hooked on prescriptions and then completely trash your whole life because you don't know how to handle the drug that you're on, as opposed to learning about outside. If you're outside in the woods, do you know how to forage? Do you know how to find anything? Can you catch fish if you need to feed yourself? Do you know how to purify water, build a shack, even if it's a lean-to? You have to learn things how to get along, and that's stuff that your parents can teach you. Your grandparents can teach you. You can't forget what happened then, because they're going to have a different story than what you learned in school. And so if you're on this quest like, well, where do we come from? Well, we're all African. All right, cool. Where? We can't trace it back because of the slave trade. We asked your grandparents, where you from? Well, that boy is Indian. He got some Indian in his family. Everybody's heard that. Almost everybody blacks heard they got some Indian in their family. So which one is it? Like, that's the education. Let's get into. For the sake of argument right now, let's not pick one or the other. Let's just say both are options and investigate. Like learn hard, and not learn hard by looking at books that teach you one thing. Take both sides. Talk to your parents. Talk to your parents about their grandparents. What did their grandparents tell them when they were little? You can talk to your grandparents if they're still alive right now. How was it when you were coming up? It's so much. There's so much out here to learn. And I don't think we're cracking it at all. And I think that's leaving us hungry and frustrated and mad. And you can't get along here. You can't get by if you don't have access to stuff. And access is the key. But education can circumvent a lot of that if we get the right education in kids at the right time. Man, I could talk about this forever. And I don't know if my points are lining up, so I'm going to just cut it here. But I appreciate you sticking around. Peace.